Hi there YouTube, Extreme Trains here. So this is something which I teased a little bit earlier, I think last week on my community tab, and I'm quite excited to actually take a look at it in the flesh. It's been talked about for a while, and the release, as is with all Bachmann releases, quite delayed, but it is the N-scale S.C.Ruffey or Scruffy car, or wagon, truck, whatever you want to call it. Not much more to say about this part of it, so let's crack them open and see what's inside. Let's do it. Okay, so this is the packaging for the troublesome truck. Top, bottom, we get the selling on the side. You can see there is the price, 59 Australian dollars. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. And then we come around to the back, and it's the same thing we've seen on the back from all the other wagons. So nothing exciting there. Again, noting though that it is good to see they're continuing with this resealable packaging. I still don't know why it's so big. Like you could really half this packaging down to this size. I don't know why there's so much extra space. But you know, maybe Bachmann just makes one size of packaging and that's more efficient for them. I'm not sure. But either way, let's crack them open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, S.C.Ruffey. He is a fascinating piece of rolling stock. He hasn't appeared in the series since like the 90s, you know, in series 4, where he has that episode, and then, you know, everyone's question mark about whether he's in series 5 when he in the down the Put Upon Percy episode. And yet he's being produced in merchandise in 2022. Like 20 years later, he's still being produced. Like Hector, nah, not getting models of him. I can't even think of any other character rolling stock that's really that important. And I guess maybe that's the thing, right? Like there aren't really many troublesome trucks that we ever get identified apart from Scruffy and Hector. That's why he keeps appearing in things. I don't really know, but it does kind of fascinate me how much he appears in even very modern merchandise, even though he hasn't been in any media for, you know, decades. But anyway, enough about that. So you can see here the details of Scruffy. We are going to do a comparison to the troublesome trucks, the normal versions, but my understanding is it's the same molding, just been a repaint, and we've got a new face. So let's take a look at that face. And as with all of the Bachmann N-scale engines, except for Thomas, and James to some extent, this is an awesome looking face. I really, really like it. Is it a bit weird that it's looking to the side? Yes, but I think that's also what he does in the show. So he's like, you know, yelling at Oliver. So I think this is great. I think it looks really, really nice. Again, you can see some minor paint imperfections on mine. Like there's some lumpy bit there on his cheek. And there's some lumpy bits there on the side of his face. But N scale from any distance, you know, when you're viewing him on the track, he's going like that, you're not going to notice. The paint details on the side are fantastic. You've got all of this, you know, railing, the metal reinforcements have been picked out, as well as the handwritten-esque printing on the side for the name. Looks great. I love the brown for the undercarriage. Come around to the bottom, you can see 2022 Thomas. That's great. We've got the normal coupling system. Yeah, this looks like a really nice wagon, I should say. Very nicely detailed, and I think it does really stand out. So let's do some comparisons to the normal standard troublesome trucks, and also the S.C.Ruffey truck that came with Tomica. So let's take a look. All right, so here are some comparisons. First, let's compare the two Bachmann trucks. You can see, yes, looking at this, they are the same molding. It's even, I think, the same paint applications. They've just changed the colors, but we do have that unique face, which is good to see. I've also just noticed that this Scruffy has a mark on his buffer beam, which is, again, unfortunate given how much I paid for it. Also, you can see that we don't have any paint on the buffers on Scruffy. So this one, we've got the painting on the buffers and also on that little coupling. What is the pretend coupling hook there? That's not the real functional coupler. Whereas on Scruffy, it's all just that brown color. So, you know, a little bit different detail there, but obviously we've got more detail on here as well. We compare him to the Tomica version, which, you know, as we know, is a different scale entirely. Very similar approach, slightly more subdued brown. This is, I actually think this one might be more realistic in terms of the color that they've used. This face, though, is crazy. I like both of them. I like the tongue on the Scruffy, the Bachmann one, but I also like this one's kind of like a bit more manic. This one's a bit more angry. This one looks like crazy, so I kind of like both of those. The detailing looks pretty good in terms of the paint and everything and the coloring. Now, I'm actually not sure which one's more correct, whether the rusty underframe is more correct or the black. My gut feeling tells me the rusty colored underframe is more correct, but I am going to flash up a picture of S.C.Ruffey on the screen for you, and you can make a decision about which one you think is more accurate. But as we've noted in previous reviews, obviously different scale. The new S.C.Ruffey can kind of fit inside the old S.C.Ruffey for that reason. So that is a comparison of those three. Let's have some talk then about final thoughts about this, and then I'll put some videos of him running at the end of this video. Okay, so what are my final thoughts then about the Bachmann N-Scale S.C.Ruffey? So, without having run him in a lot, I haven't found any problems with him running, but I will make sure to update the video if that changes. And my layout, as we know, is notoriously bad because it's got very steep gradients, which are not recommended for actual model railways. Because I didn't know what I was doing when I built my railway, but that's okay. Sidetrack. In terms of model, I think this is great. It's great to see some diversity in the troublesome trucks. As I said, the fact that S.C.Ruffey has survived so long in this series, I think is really, really fascinating. But it is a nice little model. It looks great. But I think the big problem is, as I've expressed in previous Bachmann videos, the price. I do think that based on the prices of other engines, the Bachmann engines are much better performers and quality than Dapol N-Scale engines. I haven't done a video about that yet, but it is on my to-do list. I have 2 Dapol engines, and both of them are a bit crap. And I think the Bachmann ones, even though they're a bit more expensive, and they're essentially kind of toy engines, are far better performance, far more reliable. So I've been very happy with Bachmann's engines, but their rolling stock is so expensive. And you know, I don't even understand why S.C.Ruffey is so expensive, because he's a reuse. He's just got new paint on one single new mold. He should, if anything, be cheaper than the normal troublesome trucks, because they've already got return on investment on the truck mold. So I'm quite disappointed. $59 for a single wagon is insane. For a comparison, this is a Pico wagon. Again, it's the same thing. It's a little end plank wagon, and you can see how much I paid for this, again, in Australia from a hobby store. $14.99, 15 Australian dollars. So I could buy 4 of these for the price of one S.C.Ruffey. That is insane. Like, I don't understand how Bachmann is justifying these prices to retailers when I can get this one, which again is the same thing, if anything, probably slightly very similar detailing, if not better detailing, certainly more realistic. I can pick this up and I can get this for $14. So how Bachmann is justifying these insane prices, I don't know. And again, if you're paying these prices, I should not be seeing paint imperfections on the face. I should not have out of the package little weird things like you see here on the buffer beams. I should be having painted buffers. All these details really should be here, and they're just not. And I really think that if you're going to be charging this much more, 4 times what other competitors are charging, it really does need to be a premium product. So you do wonder how much of that is the Thomas and Friends licensing fees and Mattel, you know, charging Bachmann and Mozza to use their IP, but I just don't think it justifies it. So if you're a Thomas and Friends collector and you're collecting the N-Scale line, I think it's a good purchase. But if you can try and get it on sale, I don't know if the model railway stores do a Black Friday or something, even if you're getting 10% off, that's going to be a great deal, because this is just so expensive. But that said, that's just my opinions. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned after this to see some footage of S.C.Ruffey running around my N-Scale layout. That's all we've got time for, as I said, is Extreme Trains. Bye.